The Divine Symphony, of course, orchestra, giving us that very special one from them. But let's come back to the studios here and have a further discussion as the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, again comes back to the studios. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're still looking at this fuel crisis and looking
Before you ask your questions, let me thank Channels for that symphony orchestra.
Oh, it's
very,
remarkable.
very
Beautiful.
Soothing, very soothing. It adds something to this day for those of us who know that kind of music.
Especially now that the country seems to be...
oh, yes, we need things like that. I even saw a jury in Abuja rocking to the music.
Great, great, great. But looking at where we are at now and the travel for people especially, the concerns raised on what the fuel crisis has rested on the Nigerian people. Do you think that we would likely face this situation again next year?
Well, like I have said earlier this morning, no government deliberately afflicts its people or inflicts this kind of suffering on them. There was a glitch in the supply system originally before it was exacerbated by the threatened Pengassan strike, and everything seemed to go haywire. But as long as we import petrol, once in a while you can rule out certain things. When your refineries don't work, you don't refine locally, you still have to import. There are some vagaries that
Was that
it
the
is subject
responsibility of the government?
Largely, yes.
Your government?
Largely. Don't forget that it's not this government that ruined the refineries. There were previous governments under whom the refineries collapsed completely. For instance, it is said that when it is winter in certain parts of the world, even ships cannot berth at designated times. Because in some parts of the world, the sea is frozen and ships cannot even go at the speed they should go. It's possible that, you know, it's winter in most parts of the world now. It will affect the time even ships will come with products. So as long as you have all those variables not under your total control, you can't rule anything out.
Are you going to privatize? Is this government willing to privatize the refineries?
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Bekachuku, has given a timetable leading to 2019. He released it last year. If you follow that, you will see that the plan is that by 2019, Nigeria will not only have stopped importing, it will start exporting. And even during this strike, he has said that government still stands by that timetable.
You know, there's a lot of confusion. I asked a question earlier and can't seem to get an answer. I'm not sure you'll be able to give me the answer why there's so much darkness, seeming darkness in the petroleum industry in Nigeria. But let's move that aside. Yeah. This industry is affecting the Nigerian economy. And when earlier we looked at the papers, one of the papers said the PDP criticizes government of destroying the Nigerian economy based on this fear situation. Hold on, please, let's not politicize things here. Let's come back now. And I asked you a question about the unemployment rate. Yeah. And you said it's not been that way in the last 2 years. Yeah. Let me read something out to you from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. It says that unemployment, the NBS stated this, says that unemployment and underemployment report from the first quarter of the third quarter of 2017 stated that the rate increased from 14.2% in the fourth quarter of 2016 to 16.2% in the second quarter of 2017 and 18.8% in the third quarter of 2017. So there's been that gradual increase. Now, if we go back, it actually began from 2015 and there was that gradual increase. But you said there was a promise made to provide jobs every year. But instead, we are seeing increase in unemployment and people losing their jobs. About 17.7 million, respectively, in the second quarter of 2017, lost their jobs.
No.
Hold on.
No.
I want to get that right. The number of people with the labor force who were in unemployment or underemployed increased from 13.6 million and 17.7 million respectively in the second quarter of 2017 to 15.9 million and 18 million in the third quarter of 2017.
Yes, it didn't. It doesn't mean 17 million.
No, I'm saying it increased.
I think it was 4 million. Yeah, 4 million that MBS said. The first thing I'd like to say is that we must credit MBS and credit government. MBS is a government agency. Government appoints its leadership. But you see the independence with which he does his job.
Which is appreciated.
Exactly. Government can decide to breathe down MBS's neck, but government is not doing it. When the economy went into recession, MBS came out to say the economy has gone into recession. And when it came out of recession, it also announced it. See all these statistics. MBS is unfettered completely. And it's doing a good job. Government also is taking it in good faith. I've had it said to me by some people, why can't government do something about these statistics that MBS comes out with from time to time? And I told them, President Buhari will never do that. He will not
when they say do something about
do
it,
something means
to manipulation.
Yes, no, tell them not to say the whole truth.
Okay. So now that we have the truth.
Yes.
What's being done? Because it looks like the increase is like every year.
Okay.
So what is being done?
I don't know the statistics that MBS uses, whether it's from the formal sector only.
Or is a holistic.
But you will know that in the informal sector, particularly in agriculture, you know what has been done? You know how many people are into rice farming. You know how many of them have become wealthy through rice. You know how much importation of rice has dropped. Many people, I'm sure thousands, are employed in that area. So, and there are other areas too in mining and solid minerals. A number of people are engaged. I think what I'll do, between my office and the Ministry of Labor and Employment, we will try to collate all these things.
No, why I say it's all inclusive. Again, let me bring this out. The data is based on the age brackets between 15 and 64 Nigerians who are willing, able, and actively seeking work.
Yes.
It's all inclusive. So informal and formal sector is all tied into this. Okay. Maybe if we had more time, we'll actually sit down and look at, okay, informal and all that. So the promise, you were the one that mentioned that this was a campaign promise.
Yes, it was.
So how is it being fulfilled?
When that promise was made, whoever thought the Nigerian economy would go into recession? Nobody thought so. During campaigns, oil prices were still $100 per barrel. But immediately after inauguration, May 2015, by June, oil prices crashed to $29 per barrel. Whoever thought that would happen? So those were unforeseen variables, and eventually the economy went into recession. But government rolled up its sleeves, and within 1 year of going into recession, we were able to come out of it. Not all countries have it that rosy. When they go into recession, they stay there for years. But because government was active enough, the formal sector, you had money, the capital sector, you had money pumped into it, we were able to come out of recession in just about a year. I tell you, things went down, but they are looking up now, and because the economy is progressively gaining grounds, jobs that are lost can always be regained.
Let's talk about this very important agenda for the government, which has to do with the war against corruption. You, as a government, have empowered, or should I say, given that autonomous nature to the NFIU. How will that impact on the war on corruption, looking at the activities of the EFCC side by side, the NFIU?
Because that's a trend globally now. In fact, I think it was an international requirement that